luck," he emphasized, "can't end soon enough for me." "How do you know, Reuben?" I asked, and the others around the table looked inquisitively at him, too. 6 months earlier, Victor had moved here to Eastport from the Upper East Side of Manhattan, and in remote, thinly populated down East Maine, his arrival had of course been newsworthy. But I hadn't thought any of the local people were newsworthy to Victor, and especially not a ne'er-do-well like Reuben. Tonight, Victor's dinner had consisted of the olives from his martinis. "It's not important," he muttered, and gulped the melted ice from his glass. Annoyed but determined not to argue. The rule when dealing with Victor is, never wrestle with a pig. You both get dirty, and the pig likes it. I turned away, as a voice from the next table rose in worried complaint. "Did Reuben really say that?" Patty Farrell, who ran a textile design studio out of an old canning factory building he'd rehabilitated down on the waterfront, had clearly been listening in on our conversation. Sitting with Patty was his longtime companion, Terrence Osgood. "Did he?" Patty demanded, his close-clipped salt-and-pepper head coming up pugnaciously as he caught my eye. "He's staying?" Patty wore a navy blazer and a tailored button-down shirt, a maroon silk scarf at his throat. "George?" he persisted, as George stolidly went on chewing. "Did you actually hear him say that?" "What I said," George confirmed after a sip of Miller Lite. "Staying in his mom's old place out in Quoddy Village, got the little trust fund she left him to live on. It ain't much, but I guess that's nothing new to Reuben. He's never had any job at all, that I've known of." Terrence Osgood, a big-boned, pale-haired man with a beaky nose and a big, pointy Adam's apple, wore a light blue chambray shirt, khaki slacks, and topsiders. Good-looking in the way some very ugly men can be, his jutting features regularized by intelligence and kindness, he sat listening with his usual, thoughtful attention. But Patty seemed agitated. "Reuben can't do that. Why, the town won't be worth living in. It'll be the bad old days all over again." Terrence leaned over to me. "I've got a new Red Cross first aid book," he confided. "I'll be glad to lend it to you when I've finished it." He was a martyr to numerous imaginary ailments and, perhaps on account of these, a self-taught first aid expert. I liked him a great deal. Everyone did. "Thanks, Terrence. I'll look forward to it," I said, and he sat back, pleased. "Doesn't anybody," Patty demanded, "remember?" He glared at us, fists clenched as if he might punch someone just to refresh people's recollections. "Don't see as there's much we can do about Reuben sticking around if he wants to," George said, his tone unperturbed as he went on eating his steak and potatoes. "Still a free country." I noticed, though, that George didn't raise his eyes, a sign that he wasn't enjoying Patty's conversation. Patty was intense, quick to anger, and inclined to pound the table, while George was the opposite. The quieter he became, the more tactfully and carefully you'd better go, or eventually he would lower the boom on you. "Unless," George added to Patty, "you've got some brilliant new idea." At this, the air around us seemed to grow darkly electric, charged with some knowledge I didn't share. Silence lengthened as the 3 Eastport natives at our table, Ellie, Wade, and George, went on eating their dinners, concentrating on their plates. Sam and I looked puzzledly at them, while Victor continued drumming his fingers on the table, wanting the drinks waitress. "No," Patty said at last. "No new ideas. Finished, Terrence?" Shoving back his chair, he flung down his napkin furiously. Nodding agreeably, the big man got to his feet. Then he staggered, briefly but unmistakably, placing his hand on the table to steady himself. But he recovered smoothly, dropping some money by his plate and smiling his farewell to the rest of us. He hadn't been drinking. Terrence never did. The faint, muzzy feeling induced by even a single glass of wine always made him think he had some rare neurological condition. And as they left together, he seemed fine again, bending as always to hear whatever Patty was saying, Patty accompanying his words with his usual energetic gestures. Watching them go, I sensed an ongoing liveliness of interest